All right. Good evening, StreamYard and YouTube fans. This is Philip Reynolds, and this is episode 666. Yeah, not really too happy about that, but that's the number of the Antichrist and all that good stuff. And I thought, what better thing to talk about than the idea of what kind of things do we do in order to get our teams to win without really uh, it cheating, you know. Um, I like to play with honor and integrity in my games, but what kind of things do we do to get our teams to win without really cheating? It could be as simple as wearing this same shirt every time I play the Yankees, a Yankees history maker baseball game. Uh, it can be anything like that. I will say that for like history maker baseball, you've got like the preliminary game stuff. Same with my Dice United 2. You've got the preliminary game set up. Uh, Stone Cold Hockey, preliminary game setup. It's that type of thing. And when it comes to that, it's reading the dice. Uh, when I do my preliminary game setup, uh, I like to start with the idea: is a team happy or unhappy? If the Yankees have a two-game winning streak, that means they have to have a two or less on that dice in order to be harmonious. Anything else, and they're disharmonious. Same too if a team has a losing streak, you know, 2 or 3 game losing streak, that means it has to be three or less in order for them to be harmonious. Uh, when I read the dice for the clubhouse mood, where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I always read the black die first, the red die second, and the blue die is last. And I always check to see if it's harmony or not harmony. Um, and that's just for History Maker Baseball. Give me a second here. Let me get the dice for Dice United and Stone Cold Hockey, and I'll talk about those games. And before I go on to like the Dice United game, the other thing I'll do is I always roll for the home team, whether it's the Yankees or the Orioles or whoever. I roll the home team first and then the visiting team. Uh, that's true for History Maker Baseball. That's true for Dice United. That's true for Stone Cold Hockey. Um, I also, when I play, and it's been a while since I've played it, what I do is I roll for, and like when I play Glory Days Boxing, I'll take a 20-sided dice, and one player is 1 to 10, the other player is 11 to 20, and that if I were playing classes Cassius Clay and Frazier, and I said 1 to 10 is Cassius Clay and 11 to 20 is Frazier, and let's just roll it for just for the heck of it. Yeah, we're gonna roll here for. We would be rolling here for Yeah, straighten this out. There we go. Let's roll here for to see who's in the red ring, the momentum ring portion of the ring. In Fraser, Ollie's going to be 1 to 10, and Fraser is going to be 11 to 20. All right. Hey, look at that. We got a 20, which means that Fraser would be in the red corner to start the game. And what that means is anytime you have toe to toe action, Fraser would be rolled first, and then Ollie would be rolled second. Uh, when it when we do Dice United, I have the locker room checks. Now, I got the idea for the locker room checks because of Stone Cold Hockey. It's mentioned in the second edition of the Central City Leagues. That's where I got it from. So it's nothing that I created on my own. The only thing that I did is I added the advanced stats for both uh, the advanced locker room checks. I did create on my own, uh, and give me a second, and I'll show you that. All right, now this is the basic was 1 to 6. You're just rolling a six-sided, had it just using the six-sided dice. Well, when I do the advanced, I roll two two 10-sided dice. Uh, for the basic, it's attack. You add one. Two is defense +1. 3 and 4 is no change. 5 is +1 to keeper, and 6 is +1 to control. Now, for the advanced, what I did is attack. One is attack +1. 2 is attack -1. 3 is defense +1. 4 is defense -1. 5 and 6 are no change. 7 is +1 to keeper. 8 is -1 to keeper. 9 is -1 to aggression, and 0 is +1 to control. And then what happened is I got into a couple games that were penalty kicks. And I noticed that when it comes to penalty kicks, when you were using the basic or the advanced traits, it really wasn't affecting the outcome of the game. And the only thing that I noticed that really would affect the outcome of the game is the idea of your keepers. And so I created a locker room check for penalty kicks. Uh, and what I did is 1 to 4 is +1 to keeper. 5 to 8 is -1 to keeper, and 9 and 10, what you do is you cut the keeper's stats in half. Uh, and what that means is we all know that Celentano is a 9 keeper for FC Cincinnati. Well, if you get the 1 to 4, you he becomes a 10 keeper. If you get the 5 to 8, he becomes an 8 keeper. Now, if you get the 9 or the 0, what happens is instead of being a 9 keeper, he becomes a 5 keeper. Uh, and actually, I should take that back. He doesn't become a 5 keeper. He actually becomes a 4 keeper. You wind up using the lower of the two stats. Um, and the other thing, and one of the reasons why I came up at it with this is one of the ways I came up with it is I noticed that sometimes it's rare, but it does happen where your goalie gets injured. Well, some teams have a second goalie, but if you'll notice, like the New York Red Bulls, their Colonel goalie from like the last game, he's the only goalie that they got. So if your goalie is injured, what do you do? And it's like the only thing that made sense to me was cut the uh, goalie's ratings in half, and for the rest of the that game, instead of being a 5 keeper, that goalie becomes uh, would be like a 3 keeper. Uh, you, I mean, because when you divide 2 into 5, it's you basically it's 2.5, so it would be basically you could round up to 3. But in when you're doing with the penalty kicks, you go to the lowest one, which it would be a 2 type thing. Um, Same kind of concept with uh, goalies in Dice United 2. Same kind of concept, uh, except for instead of being your keeper, it would be your goalie goes up 1 type thing. And the other thing is with Dice United, we always start with one rolling 1 dice for time at the beginning and the middle of the games. Um, I always like to the first dice I really check is the black dice to see whether it's an attack sequence or a pitch battle sequence. Attack sequence 1 to 12, pitch battle 13 to 20. And then I'll look at the red dice to see if it's in the home team's range or the visitor's range. And then finally, I look at the defensive dice to see if it's A column attack or a D column attack. And I know I really don't use the white dice a lot, but it can come into play. This is for composure, and it's like the last 2 minutes of a regulation soccer game, and it only comes into play in the second half. Uh, so it comes into the play with the last 2 minutes, or during crunch time, or in some cases in your overtime and penalties. And right now, since FC Cincinnati has a 19 composure rating, that's the highest. I had to admit that's the highest composure rating I've seen on any uh, soccer card. And I do have several sets, but it's the highest composure rating that I've seen on any set. I think. Well, let's take a look at, for instance, their next matchup, which is FC Cincinnati in Colorado. Take a look at this real quick. Okay, Colorado's composure rating is, see if I can get it in there, is a 7. And like I said, Cincinnati's a 19. So that means if they roll 1 to 12 in those last 10 minutes, uh, the attack, the defense, and the goalie ratings for Colorado are 0, which means all they have to do is roll, and unless it's a keeper save, that's going to be a goal for FC Cincinnati. Um, and that's why one of the things I came up with, and I thought about this with, and I mean to go back to it. The idea of came to me with the idea of Glory Days boxing is what if sports. Well, how do you do that for like soccer? Well, first off, with dice, you're gonna be rolling them, and I mean, but basically, what happens then is you reverse the numbers, so to speak. So if Cincinnati's a 1 to 13, supposed to be 1 to 13, that means actually means they now become the 14 to 20, and the other team uh, in next week instance would be the 1 to 13 type thing. You reverse that, um, and also um, also the idea of and that affects the red dice, and that's the big key would be it's the idea of the red dice. You change up the red dice in that, and uh, you you and as far as composure would go, in this instance, Cincinnati's a plus, be 12, but instead of it going to Cincinnati, you'd have it go to Colorado type thing. Uh, and you'll also notice that when there are injuries, it tells you to roll a 10-sided dice to see what attribute it affects. The other thing that I do with injuries, and you'll notice when you see me play, is I actually roll two 10-sided dice, and whoever it rolls on, and I'll just roll this for instance. Well, like 54 comes up. I look in the bookings column, which is where you look for penalties in that. And in this case, that would be Santiago Arias. Well, he would be the player that was injured on the play, and anytime the rest of the game, whether it's first half or second half, anytime an assist or goal comes up and his name is mentioned, you go to the next lower or upper, depending on depending on the role. So in this case, it would be we go down to Yerson Mosarica, he would be the person that either got the goal or the assist in that situation. That is, uh, yeah, because we would roll for assist first. If it was the fact that it was rolled under goals, then that Arias, he wouldn't get a goal, but that Costa Rica would if we rolled 88 to 91. Otherwise, in this instance, uh, your goal would go to Aaron Bundapaz. How's that? Yeah. Um, but I just wanted to get on here and kind of talk about some of the things that we do to try to get our team to win without really cheating. But I mean, but the things that we kind of to do to get our team to win. Uh, for me, it's a lot of it is the pregame setup. I had to admit that I don't really wear a particular shirt, whatever shows up. The other thing is when I do pregame setup, always the home team always rolls first for like goalie. If I'm deciding for FC Cincinnati who the goalie is, I roll for the home team. If that's Cincinnati, then I would roll. And in this situation, 82, that's still in Celentano's range, and he would be the goalie for that. And then I would roll for the visitors, and they got 39, and Yarbrough would be Colorado's goalie for that particular game. And I have, uh, I mean, with like Coop say, you have different charts and grids. Well, it could be as simple as using a particular grid, scoring grid, because you know that your particular team uh, wins a lot using that scoring grid. Sorry about that. Mind you, that doesn't mean your basketball is going to win using that grid, but you may use, like, say, the mid high chart or something like that because you feel that your team has a better shot of winning because usually they win, say, by anywhere between 5 and 8 points. That's not really cheating. It's just trying to slight it in favor of your team. Of course, it's all up to the dice, of course, and you never know what the dice is going to say. I mean, I just finished this History Maker baseball, and for the third time, uh, Stafford for the Yankees got a shutout. No perfect game, but a shutout, and that was his third one of the season, and that was game 101. Um, let's see. I've talked about History Maker baseball, talked about soccer, talked about uh, Glory Days boxing a little bit. Um, I also play fast drive football. That's a really, really good one. Um, and that you read the dice low to high pretty much most of the time. Big thing there to look at is the dot, no dot, because that dot or no dot could be the difference between a touchdown and an interception or something like that. You just kind of never know. Uh, History Maker Golf, big. I don't have. I'm planning on re-getting that game, but thing on that is, does the hole control or does the person control? When the hole controls, the you have the odds aren't very good that you're going to get a birdie or an eagle or that. When you actually get to control the hole, odds are more favorable for you to get a birdie or an eagle. Um, like when I got the hole in one at Augusta with my player, yeah, my player made card. Um, I looked at the results for that particular hole, and it didn't matter if it was a player created card or from the Pioneer set or from a 2023 set or a 1956 set. The key thing for me getting that hole in one was a direct green. That was a direct green, and it's one of those. If I had not had the dot type thing, I wouldn't have had that hole in one. You know, it was pretty much a direct green, and that direct green result was the reason why I got the hole in one. Um, but and red, white, and blue racing. I mean, that's another one I want to re-get. Uh, and the thing with that is Rob's pedal to the metal just to me adds a lot. I talked to the lower, slower board gamer, and he left a notation on one of my comments that I gave him about his donkey races or the did not qualify races. He says he doesn't like pedal to the metal. Well, that's fine, and that means that he probably does feuds and fumes. Feuds and fumes and duels and stuff like that. That's all in the way that you play it. I mean, I like uh, the um, pedal to the metal, which means if you're going to do it right, you're either going to have a 20 player field or a 40 player field. And the reason I say that is because if you have a 40 player field, you'll use two dice to decide pedal to the metal. And if you have 20, you're just going to use one sided dice to decide pedal to the metal. And I like the concept of that Chris has of the donkey races where those that did not qualify kind of get a second shot or get a chance to get into the race. Um, and what I was telling him, you have kind of three races and like the top seven people make it, and then uh, the top six or whatever vie for the pole position. You could use that as like another way to add to race week where 19 20 guys, half the field are people that did not qualify, and the rest come to rest come from qualify the weekly qualifying in that. Uh, but sometimes you even watch a video. I mean, I watched a thing about History Maker Baseball, and the guy was saying the idea of uh, using the 8 position players to bat, which is what I like and do, and cutting it instead of 9 innings to 7 innings. And if you're doing History Maker Baseball full length, that's great. But with uh, the way I do it with the Express, it's so quick anyway 9 innings goes by like that. Uh, and you really don't need to cut the length of innings. But if you were doing a full game, the 7 inning version would be great. I mean, there are some things that when I'm, you know, it there's sometimes when I'm playing something, I think about it and it's like, well, what happens if you did this or did that? That's how I came up with the idea for the History Maker Golf of the you know, was it Omaha, Omaha trait, where a player can if he doesn't like his result, it's basically like a mulligan. They can redo it and try it over. But you have to, if you do that, then you would have to stick with whatever result it is. So you could be worse off, not better. Any other thing is I also came up with the idea of the Joker trait, where you roll uh, and you get like a par or a bogey. Well, you can give that to the player of your choice for their next hole, or if they didn't go yet for that particular hole. But what that means is you have to roll again. If your results are worse off, then you're stuck with those results. Um, it's a matter of just sometimes remembering that because when I played it, I totally forgot about having the Omaha and the Joker traits to begin with. It's just something I created to kind of tweak the game, uh, and I really didn't. After doing it the one time, I don't know if it really helped or hindered the players that much anyway. Uh, in that. But I just kind of wanted to get on here and kind of talk about some of the things that we do to try to get our teams to win without really cheating. Because to me, honor and integrity of the game are of the utmost highest priority. This is episode 666, Mark of the Beast type thing. And so I wanted to talk about kind of what kind of things do we do to get our teams to win without really cheating, so to speak. Um, and I do know that sometimes when we're playing our games, we'll see something in the game like that gives us an inspiration or idea. For me, one of the things was the idea of a penalty kill chart because uh, the my advanced advanced locker room checks weren't working when it came to penalty kills. So I created one just for the penalty kick situations in the penalty kick time in that. Um, so, but I just wanted to get on here and talk about kind of the things we do to try to get our teams to win. Uh, and I do want to say that we're getting near the end of the History Maker Express. I want to get back to doing Stone Cold Hockey, so I'll be getting back to that, and I want to get back to the. I know it's been a while since I've done the women's soccer soccer league. I got the uh, women's. Yeah, I got the women's soccer league, which is the women's version of MLS, and I also have the super leagues from Europe and stuff like that. It's been a while since I've done those. Um, I have to I will say one of the things that I have to figure out is the idea of the aggressions because uh, when you do when it goes to defense and it says if they have an aggression of this number and it's usually 7, then there's a penalty. If and the thing is the women's aggression is at most of 5. So none of the women would ever have get a penalty if you had to have 7. So none of the women's teams would ever have that get a yellow card. So that would be one thing that I would have to tweak with that. The question is what I'd have to look at all the cards and what's the average or median for yellow card, for aggression for women's teams. You know, um, but yeah, I want to get back to the Stone Cold hockey. I want to get back to women's soccer. Uh, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do next with History Maker baseball. I do want to do some hoops, basketball. It's been a while since I've done hoops. I'd like to do that. Uh, I believe I have the information for the greatest college teams for, and that has Xavier in it, I believe. And I if and what I want to do is I do have the set 1 or 2 greatest college teams of all time, and that has Kentucky. Now, I am a big Xavier fan. That is my favorite college team because in order to get into the NCAA tournament, they have to win their division or they have to win their tournament. They can't get if they're on the bubble. Their name alone isn't going to do it. But I would like to put Xavier versus UK in basketball. That is my number one game that I want to see in my lifetime. That's the one game that I would love to, if I had tickets to go see it, I'd see it. And I would take my brother with me. Uh, but what I'd like to do in hoops is to do a UK versus Xavier type thing. And what I do is I'd probably do a best. I'd probably do a championship thing where it's the best 4 of 7. I think I have the college grid and I also have the play down grid. So I do kind of half and half with regards to the grids in that. Um, but those are some of the things I have in the works, and that is all I have for you with this episode. You all take care. Have a good evening, and we have 62 more games uh, of the quest for 61. Uh, Cincinnati soccer isn't back until April 27th, so there's kind of 2 weeks off with that. I might try to because there's a shortage. I might try to roll in Stone Cold Hockey here soon because it's been a while in that. Uh, but you all have a good evening for now. Take care, and I hope all your rolls are good ones, guys.